what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Straight Up Real Talk. And for ever since my first episode, I've mentioned my aversion to 50 Shades of Grey. And, well, I kept promising you guys that there would be another video that discussed 50 Shades of Grey. And I tried putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because I really wanted to wait until the movie came out, because I was hoping maybe the movie would be a little bit better and could save this book. But by all means, I figured it's time. So for those of you that have been waiting, welcome to Straight Up Real Talk. Today's episode is all about 50 Shades of Grey, the book. Now, before I get into this, because believe me, this is probably going to be the longest video I ever do, I want to state a couple things. One, these are my opinions about this book. My opinions about the actual lifestyle that is BDSM. And then number 3, I would like to state that this book is actually not that bad of a book if you read it as what it is, fiction. Now keep that in mind when you read that book. Fiction. And I'll get more into this a little bit later in this video, but you'll understand why. Now, with all that said, let's get straight up and let's get real. Okay, so this book, when it first came out, when I first heard about this book, I was excited. I was ecstatic because I was thinking, oh wow, BDSM is going to finally get some kind of exposure. And people are going to see that it's not that bad. And then I read this book. And I was disappointed. More so, I was scared that this book had become such a phenomenon all over the world. As a matter of fact, this book broke the world-selling record on paperback held by Harry Potter. This book sold more paperback copies than Harry Potter did. And that's saying a lot, considering in a lot of places you have to be 18 or older to buy this book. Harry Potter, you didn't. Now, that scared me, and this is why. The lifestyle that is projected by this book is far from the actual BDSM lifestyle. Far, far from it. It's a far outcry. So much that I wish the book never was written. And the reason why is because most people nowadays that are reading this book, if they didn't know anything about BDSM, and they realize they're starting to get interested in it and everything else, they start coming into the lifestyle with no idea whatsoever of what this lifestyle is about. And that's dangerous at the best. On top of that, you have people that read this book that might not have very good intentions. And they're starting to realize, oh, there's a whole lifestyle where women bow down to men. Let me say this right now, that's not what this lifestyle is about. So for anyone that read the book, that became a dom or calls himself a dom now, just to get a woman to bow down to you, let me say this straight out to your guys' face, real and straight up, you're a fucking douche. You're nothing but a control freak that needs some mental help, and I highly suggest you find it. Here's why. BDSM is about two consenting adults entering a lifestyle where they consent to give up their right to choose, or to give up their right to be dominant to someone else. The key thing to there is consent. Consent, 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 consent. I could say that throughout this whole video, and as a matter of fact, I probably will numerous times. So here's the thing. Go ahead, little game here. From this point on, I want you guys to put down in the comments how many times I say consent. Okay? Let's see who's paying attention and who watches the whole video. Now, with all that said, let's get into 50 Shades of Grey. It starts out about how Anastasia meets Christian, and this lifestyle forms, and this attraction, and all this other stuff. Now, here's my first problem with this. Christian Grey is nothing but a control freak. That's all he is. He wants to control someone. And then you add in the fact that he has a tortured past, and he feels the need to cause pain in a way that might not necessarily be the safest. Oh God, I gotta love it. Safety, big thing about BDSM. But anyways, going on. So now, here's my thing. Let's go to the times that consent was violated. The first time they ever play. Mind you now, Anastasia was a virgin. She had no idea about a lot of sexual experiences, let alone kinky sexual experiences. Now he turns around and he hands her a piece of paper that's a contract. It says, here, please sign this. And this is the stuff that I'm going to do to you. Okay. Now here's my problem with that. Now granted, he opened himself up to questions and all that stuff, but nowhere in the book does it really show Anastasia asking questions about what all this stuff is. You know, what is abrasion? What is fire play? What is impact play? What's this? What's that? What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with this implement? These are questions that come up in a normal conversation for those that are into the BDSM lifestyle. It is important as hell, that the Dom is informative of what he does and what he's doing and what he wants to do. And then to actually get the consent of the submissive before he does any of that stuff. Now, in the thing, there was a spanking scene. Okay. Pretty light. Pretty unintense compared to what's really out there. But he did it without her consent. And she had such a strong negative viewpoint against it at first. Now granted, as the series goes on, she learns that she likes it. But at first, there was still no consent to that. It was violated. And then when she has a strong negative viewpoint to it, he threatens to spank her again. What the hell are you thinking, Christian? Nowhere in a real BDSM relationship would someone threaten to do something that someone just said they don't like. Let me tell you how it would have gone down in real life if someone had turned around and threatened to spank someone after just being told they don't like it. It'd be like, motherfucker, you can get your ass out of here and don't put your fucking hands on me again. I don't want to see you. Bye. That's how it would have gone. I'm sorry, but for me, if someone was to tell me, hey, I didn't like that, okay, that's never happening again. Unless they come up and say, hey, remember when you did this and I said I don't like it? Well, I'm kind of curious more about it. Can we try it again? Then it's back on the table. Pretty fucking simple. Come on. Now, on top of that, at the end of this contract, he tells her that if you don't sign this contract, we cannot have a relationship. Now, you can't sit there and tell me that Christian Grey didn't know Anastasia had an attraction to her. It is obvious that she does. Okay. You want to talk about using something to get what you want. So, just because Anastasia might not know what's going on and everything else, but you know, what if she really doesn't want this kind of a relationship? And part of the book, you should see this inner debate of her about between her and this inner goddess and all this other stuff. But in the end, what it comes down to is she keeps telling herself, if I want a relationship with Christian, I need to have this. That's what it comes down to. Not the fact that she's curious. It comes down to the fact that she wants a relationship with Christian, and Christian is saying, oh, well, if you want a relationship with me, you're going to have to let me beat you. You're going to have to let me abuse you. What the fuck? Really? Okay, now, let's move on from that. Let's move on to self-esteem and stuff like that, and building it, and all that good stuff. It is the job of a dominant to give the submissive what she needs. And I don't mean, oh, I need a computer, let me go have my dominant buy me a computer. No, that's a sugar daddy. Flat out. That's not a dominant. That's a sugar daddy. You're getting stuff from him for sexual pleasure. That's a sugar daddy. And it's also a form of prostitution. But hey, I won't go there. So anyways, now, the thing is it's clear that Anastasia needs some self-esteem boost. Big time. Does she get it? A little bit. Is Christian as a dominant concerned about that? Not one bit. He's concerned about what he gets. And that's it. This is dangerous at best. This is fundamentally wrong in so many levels that I would need an hour to discuss this. And I just don't have that kind of time. So with that said, we're going to move on. Keep that in mind, though. Now, earlier I brought up an age thing. This is something that is very sexual. Now, of course, BDSM is not just about sex. It's a great part of it. But it's not just about sex. But it's very sexual. And I don't know about other places, but in the state I'm in, and in most United States, it is illegal for an adult to have a sexual relationship with anyone under the age of 18. Christian stated that he was in a relationship at a very young age with a woman that was into the BDSM lifestyle. And you know what this does? It opens up the fact that the BDSM lifestyle is okay for people under the age of 18. And it's not. It really isn't. I think you need to be a consenting adult to be in the BDSM lifestyle. And again, that's my opinion. And I'm sure there's plenty of underage people out there that are doing some form of DS in some way. And that's fine, as long as it's not the sexual aspect. But we won't go there. And, I mean, it just opens up a whole thing of pedophilia. And I'm sorry, we all know how I feel about pedophilia. And if you don't, hey, there's a video where I did a thing about pedophiles linking to homosexuals. So you can go watch that. Okay, so now another problem I had with this. Most dominants should be willing to provide aftercare. If they're not, then I'm sorry, but I don't get it. I just don't. Aftercare is important. What's Christian Gray's view of aftercare? To leave her alone. Granted, she seemed fine, and afterwards she had an emotional breakdown. Gee, where was he? Where was her dominant to take care of her? He was gone. And then only then, once she flipped out on him, did he come back. Oh, but romance is not what he does. Come on. Really? Anyone else seeing the red flags here? So it's okay for him to spank and do all this other stuff. But God forbid he offers a cuddle. Yeah. Another problem. Safe words. Now, I was under the impression for the very longest time that safe words were never even discussed in this whole trilogy. Recently, after doing some research, I found out that it was discussed in the final book. Safe words should have been discussed the moment they started any kind of play. Blindfold, spanking, anything. Safe words are a must. Because here's my thing. If you don't provide safe words, then are you really caring about their limits? You need to know when to be able to stop. And granted, a lot of people argue, oh, well, if she told him to stop, he would have. Really? Let's go back to my previous point of threatening to spank her again after she just had a phenomenal breakdown about being spanked. Come on. What he does is not BDSM, it's abuse. He stalks her, he's a control freak, wants to know her every movement, tries to tell her when she can and cannot hang out with friends. Come on. He gets jealous over her friends. This is not a man that I would trust with handing over control of my life to. Not one bit. And the scariest part of this is I've actually had conversations about the BDSM lifestyle with people where they turn around and say, oh, but this is how it happens in 50 Shades, so this is how it's supposed to happen. Really? Get the fuck out of here. Go do some research and learn. And that brings me to this movie that they're making of this. There are people out there that won't read because they know it gets boring at times to them, or they have a hard time reading. But they sure as hell will watch a movie. So now let's further expose this atrocity that is putting a bad name on what BDSM really is to even more people. Congratulations. Bravo. And in case you didn't catch it, yes, that was sarcastic. It was beyond sarcastic. My hope is that the people that read this book, if they decide to enter this lifestyle, that they do more research than just believing this book. And if you don't, you're opening yourself up to a world of hurt. You're opening yourself up to a world of people that are going to prey on you and take your innocence and naiveness and use it against you. By all means, if you want someone to control your every aspect of your life, that's fine. Completely up to you. You have every right to do that. That's your choice. But please, by all means, make sure the person is stable, safe, and consensual. I think that pretty much covers this. Oh my god. I get so riled up about this book because it just destroys the lifestyle. And I don't get it. I don't get why people would enter a lifestyle that does involve dangerous play at times. For things like fire play, or even simple rope bondage. You know, if you tie a rope too tight around someone and you crush their nerve endings, you can do some really good damage to them. And these are the people that read this stuff and they're like, oh, I can just do this. No! No. Let me tell you how you really should do this. If you want to do something, if you want to incorporate kink into your life, that's fine. But do the research. Learn. Go to workshops. Because there are plenty of BDSM workshops. The lifestyle itself is a little underground because there's so much persecution against it. But for the most part, the lifestyle is the lifestyle. And there is BDSM workshops. And there is BDSM workshops. I have nothing else for you. By all means, you want to read the book, but please, please remember, it's fiction. Now, without anything else to say, I'm going to wrap this up. Do me a favor. Remember, everything is about consent. Consent, consent, and oh yeah, consent. And along with the number of consents that I just said in this video, down in the comments, tell me if there's something else about the 50 Shades Grey book that just didn't strike you as right. And then, you know, or tell me if you think that the 50 Shades of the Grey book was a great book and was actually pretty accurate. And if you do, it's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if your opinion is wrong. Also, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and click the subscribe button because there's going to be more straight up real talk coming to you every Wednesday. Without further ado, let me give you guys a salute, and also let me end this on a positive note. One credit that I do give the 50 Shades of Grey book is it does show in a positive light the fact that both men and women can be dominant. Now, granted, the woman that was dominant over over Christian was a little bit on the pedophilic side, but it does show it. So until next time, guys, keep it real.